it takes an event like this for us to almost rethink the way we work, where we work, how we consume entertainment or content, how we do our groceries, how we do our deliveries. So that evolution will happen. Okay. Hey. Oh no, you've been contacting. Oh no. Got you.
So in this current turmoil because of COVID, are these still the same sectors you're looking at? And are these still the same players you're looking at? Or are you shifting towards something in the healthcare side or remote work side?
I think crises like these will definitely, so again, it's again another trend. So we'll definitely look at other industries as well. We're now doing a deeper dive on where does local and regional digital content, where is that going to go? We all know that the Netflix is, but Netflix is for a certain segment, for a certain demographic. There's a lot of content if you look at local Indonesian drama series or Vietnamese short films. And then you can say, well, there's not a big market for it. Well, we feel that there's going to be a bigger market for it in the next few years. And again, I think COVID has accelerated kind of our view on how big this can be in the next few years.
It's quite interesting. There's a lot more also home-produced content at the moment. I see it on TikTok or even video games like Fortnite or streaming content online pretty much live. Is there something that you're looking at as well?
So we haven't seen a specific niche within this region. You can basically say that online gamers or people that love viewing games or gamers can go to Twitch, and it doesn't matter if you are based here or you're based in London. So we are trying to look for something that is localized or regional to Southeast Asia. Definitely there will be developments in that direction. So again, I'm mentioning we're seeing localized content, which makes it interesting. On the gaming or esports side, we just haven't found that local or that regional niche, but we keep on looking for it.
It's quite interesting with all these big sporting events being cancelled and having no live viewers at these events. This really is the time for an expansion into the whole remote viewing space on the entertainment side, but also from the working side.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've now all realized that it takes an event like this for us to almost rethink the way we work, where we work, how we consume entertainment or content, how we do our groceries, how we do our deliveries. So that evolution will happen. I'm 100% certain that we'll find companies that don't exist now, but will exist in the next few months just because of this virus.
So traditionally, investments kind of direct what the future will look like, right? Be it the remote work, be it the co-working spaces that we've had popping up over the last few years. Now, an event like COVID-19 propels the world forward a few years. What do you think the next 5 years will look for us?
So I think we have seen, and this is not like a bad or a good judgment, but we've seen the last 7 or 8 years tend to be around what you call sexy investments. Companies that are in the public's eye, that have these amazing founders that are examples to the world. I think that on a larger scale, we'll see more or less sexy companies, but companies that actually solve a real problem. I think the venture capital, private equity industry will move away a little bit more of, again, market share at all costs, high valuation to, okay, this company is actually solving a problem. It might not grow at 100x a year, but it's growing. It's real business. It solves something. It solves a need. And my view is that in the next 5 to 10 years, we'll see more money going into these companies, and these companies will be profitable sooner. Whereas the dynamic of putting in a lot of money to work into one company just to get that market share, I think those days are actually over. And I think it's more around, I'm going to give you money, and I'm going to give you a lot of added value to help you build your business. Which sector that's going to be, I still think that food is going to be huge. Healthcare, I still feel that thinking of healthcare at home, doing a lot of checks at home, I think digital health will pick up drastically. Think of education. I mean, a lot of schools were unprepared for this, and not to their blame, but no one was prepared for this. Now they have to switch to online learning in a few days. That's very, very difficult. So I think online education will pick up drastically in the next few years.
This sort of reality check for companies traditionally only happens when they IPO, right? When the mass sees if this company is profitable or not, and that's really the bottom line. What do you think is going to happen with the future investments now, or sorry, the future portfolio companies now when they IPO? It's going to be more of a success rate or a lesser one?
So the IPO market for Southeast Asia is still very, very nascent. We've had C. Garena successfully IPO in the New York Stock Exchange. We saw Razer IPO in Hong Kong. I think what we'll see is kind of two different I would say, events. One is, I think exchanges like Hong Kong and maybe one or two local exchanges will step it up, and they will say, hey, what we've seen in the US, we want to, in some shape or form, replicate it in this region. So I think Hong Kong will be an important player when it comes to listing companies from this region. I think the US will be open, but more difficult. I think they've seen a lot of listings, some from China, even in the US, where the valuation there's huge scrutiny around why is this valuation so high versus the actual revenue or the actual bottom line or EBITDA. So my sense is that the public market will scrutinize these tech companies more. So before you list, before you go on your roadshow, before the pre-IPO rounds, there will be more in-depth research into, do we think that this company is sustainable? And that will trickle down to the early stage investing and investors as well.
So in this environment, what's it like to be a startup founder, and how do you get capital from a VC or an investor, and how has that changed?
Well, this environment will definitely change the startup landscape. I think for founders that are in a fundraising process now, or have a fundraising process coming up in the next 6 to 9 months, they need to think about what does it mean. Although there is still liquidity in the market, there's still enough VC funds that are actively investing, no one knows what's going to happen in the next 6 months. So there's a lot of uncertainty. Uncertainty means that people will sit on their cash a little bit longer. So as a startup founder, you want to make sure that any fundraising plans you have in terms of timeline, bring it in and do it now. If you're able to build relationships with VCs, do it now. If you're able to close maybe a smaller round to extend your runway, do it now. If you have the ability to cut some costs, do it now. Just because there is uncertainty and we haven't seen anything at this scale, I'm 44, I haven't seen it. So it means that you want to do it now, just to make sure that you kind of get through this period and then go to market again. So we literally encourage just our portfolio to kind of look through what are your fundraising plans for the next 9 months. Is there anything that you can bring forward and start engaging the VC landscape right now? Also for companies that are close to an exit, we've seen it on larger scales where exits in Europe and the US have been postponed. Large M&A strategic acquisitions have been postponed just because of insecurity. Large acquirers have said, we're not spending this 1.2 billion anymore because we want to sit on our cash for a little bit longer. As soon as we know what the market's going to do, we'll kind of revisit this again. This means for you as a founder that this will trickle down to the smaller private markets as well. If you have a big corporation that is looking to acquire your company, have the conversation and see if there are any insecurities on their side that you should be aware of. Again, it is an unsure time. Just make sure you get enough security as possible.
Michael, thank you so much. That's all the time we have today, unfortunately. But it was great talking to you. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all for watching. This is Coffee and Conversations, and we'll see you soon.